I wanted to do this really quick live video. I'm going to come back and follow up with it, but with the details. But I just got word that there was a study, or there is a study that's being conducted at the Children's Hospital in LA with a doctor and a grant from the National Institute of Environmental Health um, in regards to uh, children and basically, layman's terms, using drugs to alter a female into a male and vice versa. A study or experiment with ages in the single digits. Again, I'm gonna get more information on it, so I will follow up with another video. But why it's on my mind, here's the thing that because I hear a lot of people within the LGBT community that said they want to invalidate uh, the notion that the plausible notion dealing when you start to gather facts about how the body works, as far as some of the gender identity issues, or I wouldn't say issues, but the gender identity um, population that's has gender association disorder, is what they call it, um, may maybe some of that sector may be contributed to chemicals, xenoestrogens, antiandrogens, and chemical contaminants that mimic hormones and imbalances the hormones in the womb. So, and a lot of people, like I said, don't want to believe in that, but it's like, okay, so if they can do this, because they also say because of the things in certain products and the environment, it can, alter a child or even, teen as far as their development. Some of these chemicals can mess a child boy up as far as their testicles don't drop, or one may drop. There's a lot of research in this. And I know it's a sensitive topic, but we have to talk about it, right? So, but my thing is, why would this not be plausible when they're doing this on the front end? Well, after they're born, so why wouldn't it not be plausible for unborn children and the fetus when, for example, and I've actually have a video on this as far as the babies being born pre-polluted, and one of the issues that are coming about is gender behavior association disorder, which is because of the chemical contaminants in our food, in the clothing, in the materials, food cans, BBPs. There's all types of chemicals, fire retardant chemicals, stuff in our shampoos, fragrances, and the fragrance little things you put in the outlet, that interact with the endocrine system abnormally in the womb. And for example, um, if a boy gets too much xenoestrogen or and anti-androgens at a certain point, he won't have enough testosterone. So of course, if he's going to get more um, feminine type of chemicals at that key moment in its development in the womb, of course he's going to come out uh, feeling wanting to play with dolls instead of toy guns. Okay. Um, and that quote was actually from um, Dr. Woodrow. There was a podcast, and I did a video on the podcast, but I got so much flack for it, and there's people because people are just not thinking rationally, and they get jumped to defense because it's talking about them, and it doesn't offend me. And there's a few people, a tiny few people in the that could or do identify in the LGBT community that does also agree that there is some of the now people would say boom of people who either identify as LGBTQ, or uh, have gender association preferences and all these different pronouns, that some of that is due to environment. But I did, so what I ended up doing, I just went back, and I can't, it was archived. I got it was a podcast on, chemical contaminants in a pregnant woman, NPR, podcast with Kellen Heller, I think her name was, and this was in like December 2015 or something like that. I'll never forget it. But it's since been archived, and I don't even think you can actually find it. It was an hour episode. I only recorded the 11 minutes of them talking specifically about, the endocrine system and how these chemicals can, make little boys come out wanting to play with toy guns and how they knew, toy dolls instead of toy guns, and how they knew since the 70s that there could be, there was activism and questioning. People were questioning when these new products was coming about, like in the 60s and the 70s, these new, chemicals and ways to process stuff, and these, synthetic things. And there were grassroots questions, people that were questioning it. But obviously, just like today, when we question vaccines and things like that, you had a lot of opposition. People saying it wasn't enough information. So now that it has flooded our environment and the population, it's what, 40 years at least later, you know what I mean? Now we're starting to see some of those effects. But people were warning about this in the 70s. But anyway, I'm going to come back and talk a little bit more in detail, soon, once I get some more information about the actual study. But, again, this goes to piggyback off of that other video that I made, and which is, a lot of this is due to environment. I'm not saying, there's always been homosexuality. I'm not saying that. Or, people who wow, it's a, I don't know, it's so many new terms now, people with both genders, both sex organs rather, effeminate men. There's always been that. I'm not one of those say, it's just the white man did it, No, it didn't come from the white man, it's always existed. But just someone who, I can see the difference from even 15 years ago. I remember when my parents, hearing my mom talk to my auntie when I was little, and this was in the 80s, and she was saying how the Similac was making the girls grow bosoms early. And she was a RN or LPN, one of them. So, there was it was, even people were even questioning the products that were, these new products to kind of help us. Because, that Similac was, that was pretty much new, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, it's new. It was like being used for like at least, I don't know, what, a decade or something like that. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to come back and do a more detailed video on this topic.